Hey everyone, Camille here from 88 Fitness Training. Welcome back. Today we're doing advanced tips on the drag curl. So if you're looking to take those biceps to the next level, you're definitely going to want to check out this drag curl video. So stay tuned. So the drag curl. The drag curl is a really excellent bicep exercise, especially for those bicep peaks. It's going to get you that height. So today I'm going to go through 5 incredible tips to take those drag curls to the next level. But first and foremost, for those of you that are not familiar with drag curls or maybe haven't seen our other videos, I'll just do a quick demonstration of what a drag curl looks like. So instead of curling straight up, you're literally dragging the bar against your body, pulling the elbows back and contracting those biceps. So just like that, bar close to body, elbows come up or back, and then squeeze. Tip number 1, it all starts with a stable base. Yes, the focus is on the upper body and getting that nice contraction on the bicep, but you have to have a stable footing to start with. So the best way to position your feet is hip width apart, straight ahead, just like this. Now your feet are nice and planted. You can focus on dragging that bar across your body, pulling those elbows back. So the common mistake that I see is people try to do it with staggered stance. 1, the bar is hitting my leg, so the bar is not even against my body until I'm already kind of underway, and it's not very stable. Like I almost want to do this swaying, tilting thing because I don't have that nice, firm, stable, solid base, just like this. So tip number 1 for your advanced drag curl techniques, stable footing, stable base. And a lot of this might also go to the type of tennis shoes that you decide to wear. If you were going to wear running shoes with that big, thick sole, you're already going to be on a floating surface, an unstable surface. So ditch those, get those flat bottom shoes, stable, nice, parallel footing here, and then do the drag curl. You got it. Tip number 1. Tip number 2 on your advanced techniques for the drag curl is to maintain body posture. I can't stress this enough. So the whole point of the drag curl is not to use momentum and cheat. So at the same time, you don't want to arch your back to get that weight up. And that's what people do. They get to a certain point, they can't get it up any higher. Instead of lightening the barbell, they arch that back. And that's improper form. You want to control and use good body posture. So here's a tip. Go to the gym, find yourself a pole, maybe a column, a beam, whatever, something that you can still get your elbows around, lean against it, now drag the bar up and down. So as you can see, I can't arch the back because my glutes, back, everything's touching this column. So just like that. This ensures no body momentum, that you're using nice controlled posture the entire time, and it'll help you prevent injury. So if you can't do that up against the column, that means your weight is too heavy. You need to lighten it up so you can get that full range of motion, that full contraction. Tip number 3 on your advanced tips for the drag curl is to use controlled movement. It's very similar to the maintaining proper body posture, but you want to control this movement, right? So we want to make sure that we're coming up until our elbows are about 90 degrees. We're not curling to mid-abdomen right at the belly button, right? We're not curling lower. We're coming all the way up, elbows 90. You should be at the bottom part of the chest muscles, the pecs, and that's the proper form. Now the tendency when those elbows get to 90 is for you to shift those elbows forward. I want you to keep them back the whole time. This bar should be touching your body. So come up to 90, make sure that bar is still touching right at the bottom part of the pec, and squeeze. So just again, you don't want to be drag curling to your belly button. You don't want to pull the elbows forward to come up higher. You want to keep that bar against your body. Elbows 90, right at lower pec. Tip number 3. Tip number 4 on your advanced techniques for the drag curl. You want to avoid full extension yaw. This is probably like the only time I'm going to tell you you're not going to do that full range of motion, but this lower part of the range of motion is not beneficial. You are not under load when your arms are all the way straight like this. You want to maintain a slight bend in that elbow because that's going to put tension on that bicep. So again, this is just dead hang, right? My bones and joints are like bearing this load. So bend that elbow just slightly until you get bicep contraction, and this is the lower part of the range of motion. And now from this position, we drag the bar up to that lower pec area, give it a good squeeze, elbows 90, back down. Again, we're going to stop just short of locking out that elbow. Keep that tension on that bicep the whole time, because the whole point of this exercise is tension on that bicep. So come to right about here, back up to 90, squeeze. And again, if you can't do this, it's because you need to lighten that weight. So grab an easy bar, grab something else. Again, we don't want the arms hanging, we don't want to be locked out down here. We want slight bend of the elbow to have that contraction on the bicep. All right, tip number 4. And here we have it, tip number 5 on our advanced techniques for the drag curl, hand placement. All right, y'all, I've seen this done so many different ways. The correct way is shoulder width. So with a supinated grip, arms just hanging at shoulder width, we're gonna reach down, grab that barbell, and this is the proper hand placement. Now what I see a lot of times is a little too wide. The person's wider than shoulder width. And so when you're like this, it is shortening that range of motion that you have, and it causes a lot of wrist discomfort, right? So we want that full range of motion. We want to be about shoulder width and able to pull those elbows back and squeeze. So just like this, squeeze. Again, when we're super wide, we can't really pull those elbows back, and all of this stress is in my wrist, not tension in the bicep. That's where I want it. So, and same thing, you don't want to be super close, right? You don't want this close grip. You can't effectively contract that bicep because your wrists get in the way. They can't bend like that. So definitely shoulder width on that barbell and get it in. Now, if for some reason that's causing wrist pain, again, check your weight. It might be too heavy, and worst come to the worst, grab a curl bar and do these, but I don't recommend that. You can't get that full kind of contraction on the bicep, and that's why we're doing the drag curl in the first place. So check that hand placement, y'all. Tip number 5. We've already talked about some of the benefits of doing the drag curl. You know, first and foremost, I would just say the amount of tension it places on those biceps and the amount of contraction you're getting throughout the exercise is what makes it so effective, especially for that bicep peak, which is getting you that height that you want. So that's really the main benefit of why you would do the drag curl. In terms of how to put this into your workout programming, there's a couple different ways. One, as a standalone exercise. I mean, just doing the reps with the plain barbell here, that was probably enough of a bicep workout for me for this long head. It was pretty intense. The contractions were pretty serious. It was a lot of weight for me. You can also, instead of just doing it standalone, maybe superset it as a workout. So sometimes I'll do traditional barbell curls, and then once I peter out or I reach that sticking point, I switch to drag curls, and it's like a mechanical drop set. So that's 2 different ways you can work this in. I wouldn't recommend doing it every single arm day, but it's definitely something to add to your arsenal and work it in from time to time. Great exercise. If you are going to do it, I would do 6 to 12 reps. If you reach 12, it's probably too late. So go ahead and at that point, crank up that weight. But it's a great exercise. I hope you've enjoyed these 5 advanced techniques for the drag curl. So just to go through them again for you, we started with having that stable stance, right? So having those feet parallel, toes pointed straight ahead, trying to avoid that staggered stance because this isn't a stable base, and it all starts with that stable base. And again, shoes have a little something to do with that too. So probably don't go out there with your cross trainers, your runners, anything like that. You want a nice flat bottom shoe to create that stable base. From there, we talked about body posture. It was really important that we're standing straight up, we're not arching that back as we're doing this, and as a proper tool to help us with that, this is where I leaned on the pole or a column at the gym to prevent you from arching that back. It makes sure that your hips, your back, your neck, your shoulders, everything's in line, touching this pole, and it'll ensure that all that tension's on that bicep and you're not cheating it by arching that back or using bad body posture. All right, from there we talked about controlling that motion. So that was making sure that we're coming all the way up to 90-degree elbow flexion there and squeezing as hard as we can, not stopping short at mid-abdomen, because that's the huge mistake that people make. They're not getting that full contraction on that bicep, so bring that weight up. And if you can't, it's because it's too heavy, y'all. I mean, that's the theme of this workout with the drag curl. If you want the max benefit of the drag curl, you need to lighten it up and hit full contraction on those biceps. All right, from there we talked a little bit about hand placement and not being too wide on a drag curl, because when you're too wide you can't hit that full range of motion. So you really want that bar shoulder width. So just let your arms hang with the palms up, grab the bar, and do the drag curl. And wait, let me back up, because there was one before that we talked about, and that was avoiding full extension at the bottom, right? This is dead space down here. We want to have a slight bend on the elbow and the biceps contracted versus relaxed like this. So go ahead, bend that elbow, squeeze those biceps, and that's the starting position for the drag curl. That ensures we have tension on the bicep the entire time, and we're not relaxing or pausing at the bottom taking a break, because we're not here to take breaks, y'all. We're here to build biceps. So I hope you've enjoyed these 5 advanced techniques to take your drag curls to the next level. And for more videos like this one, definitely check out our bicep playlist. And as always, like and subscribe. Camille 88 Fitness Training.